A long, long time ago, there was a monk in Germany. One day, he posted something.
Was it on WeChat or Facebook?
It was on the doors of a local church.
Are you talking about the legendary Martin Luther King?
It was Martin Luther. He's not a king. Martin Luther's post was shared faster than the ones on WeChat, angering the Pope.
Why though?
He said the indulgences the Pope sold were a money scheme, against the teachings of the Bible. The only way of salvation for man to come to God is through Christ Jesus. There is no other agent or agent fee. Everyone can communicate to God directly. Clergy is not necessary.
All occupations are created equal, and all people are created equal before God.
Exactly. The 95 Theses of Luther resulted in many likes, retweets, reactions, and comments. It was shared in less than 2 weeks throughout Germany, in 4 weeks throughout Europe.
Just like the speed of social media these days.
At that time in Europe, the creation of metal movable type birthed the printing industry. In the past, only the clergy were allowed to read the Bible, but now even ordinary people could read it.
That's big trouble for the Pope and the Church.
On top of that, Luther wasn't fighting alone. He had many buddies. For example, the famous John Calvin. It's Calvin, not Darwin. Public reaction continued to escalate. Many countries in Europe not only began to oppose indulgences, they also opposed the Pope, threatening to break away from the reign of Roman Catholicism. This resulted in many wars and battles in Europe. It took about 100 years for Protestants to gain the religious freedom they fought for during the Reformation.
It was just supposed to be religious reform. This huge turmoil in Europe was definitely unexpected.
This wasn't Luther's intention, but the Reformation did bring a series of changes in society, laying the foundation and giving ideas for the modern political ideals and systems in the West. Martin Luther said that a housewife is as sacred as a priest, giving the idea of equality of all human beings. And John Calvin stressed, kings, presidents, or any great leader, that all of us are sinful. This provides the basis of checks and balances of power.
Ah, I get it.
There's more. The Reformation created such an influence on ethics. For example, in the past, Roman Catholicism taught that the purpose of marriage was to prevent sexual temptation. Or to make it sound better, marriage was only for having offspring. To become a priest, one could not get married in order to be considered devout.
But isn't it the same as being a Buddhist monk? So was Martin Luther also a monk then? I mean a Christian monk?
Luther himself actually did not want to get married, but later he married a nun who escaped from the monastery during the Reformation. It was a happy marriage for them. The Reformation caused people to reconsider the sacred significance of love and marriage.
Exactly right. Watching people get married in a church always leaves me teary-eyed.
The Reformation advanced modern science. Back then, people thought the universe was something too sacred and mysterious. But then, John Calvin gave a metaphor of the world being a theater of God's glory. And understanding nature helps us understand God.
So now scientific research does have a meaning, a motivation, and ethics.
Copernicus, Galileo, Kepler, Leibniz, Newton, and others. These pioneers of modern science walked down this path, all because of the sense of sacredness.
I remembered on that first moon landing, the astronauts brought the Bible up with them, and the astronauts in Apollo 8 were reading the book of Genesis when they were on live broadcast while circling the moon.
That's right. The Reformation also brought along the Puritan movement. People decided that working hard for money is not a sinful activity, but that squandering and wasting is. They wanted to be a good steward for God.
Work hard to earn, work hard to save, and work hard to donate. Those Puritans really worked hard.
The Puritans helped push the development of modern economies. They even managed to start a new country. In September 1620, a group of persecuted Puritans called the Pilgrims rode on the now famous Mayflower, drifting across the sea to North America. By 1776, they established the United States of America. Martin Luther King Jr., the African-American civil rights leader mentioned earlier, his name was a tribute to Martin Luther.
Well, it looks like this Reformation 500 years ago really made a significant impact on our society today.
Yes, and it is also significant to each of us. 500 years ago, the Reformation took away an obstacle between people and God. What is the obstacle that is standing between you and God today?